Hey folks, good evening. I'm Dan Folds and this is Rubbin' and Grubbin' coming to you live from Coach's Corner in Thunderbolt, Georgia, the center of the universe. Thanks so much for being here. You're looking at this on Facebook right now. Please go ahead and like that Coach's Corner Facebook page if you would. And go ahead and share this video out to your friends. Our producer and the brains behind the camera is Mr. Lawrence Bennett, and he does take all these films and he creates a enhanced YouTube video, and he puts that up on YouTube and as well on Twitter, and he does that a few days after we do each show. So again, thanks for being here. So we are rubbing and grubbing. The rubbing is racing and the grubbing is eating, and we've got lots to talk about in both camps tonight. As you can see, the brains behind this show, Big, aka Brandon Bain, is not here. Big, I miss you. I need you. I love you, brother. I hope you're having a good time on vacation. Have fun, get it over with, get your ass back here. Quickly. And that's my first dollar for the swear bucket. Thank you very much. All swear bucket money goes to the Ronald McDonald House, our charity of choice, and we'll get more about that here shortly. Holy crow, all kinds of cash coming my way. Big, check in with us later. We'll get a phone going and you can call us and you can give us your picks. So people have asked me, do you know any NASCAR racers that live here locally? And actually I do. I'm a member of the Aileen Shrine Temple, and in the director staff, there's a gentleman named Mr. Del McCowart, and he never won a race, but he never lost a party. And there's a legend that actually Mr. Cowart one time had Dale Earnhardt Sr. spend the night on his couch. So we'd love to get that story from him. NASCAR rocks coaches. We've got a gazillion TVs in here. We've got a big sound system. When they say crank it up, we do. And if you come and watch a race here at Coach's Corner, your first beer is on me. I'm Dan Folds. You tell your server, Dan said my first beer is on him. That's from me to you. Come and watch the race with us. Hey, if you listen to ESPN Savannah Hilton Head 104.3 and 1400 AM at 9 a.m. last Sunday, you might have heard Brandon and I and PJ on the latest episode of the show Green, White, Checkered. That's a PJ Zuko project. He's an ESPN guy. And PJ, thanks so much for letting us do that. It's a lot of fun, and like this experience here, it is teaching me a lot about NASCAR. We have a blast doing that show. We tape it Saturday night and then they air it Sunday morning, and it's a lot of fun. It's actually a lot better for me to do it early Sunday morning than Saturday night, but this Saturday night went off without a hitch. It was a beer-free day for Dan last Saturday night. So NASCAR news. Guys, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and there's a lot going on in NASCAR. And the last thing, this is me, an old guy speaking, and I'm channeling my boss that I had when I was a Lifestar pilot named Mr. Dutch Martin, probably the best boss I ever had in my life. And this is the point where Dutch would say, you know, there's enough hot air, there's enough talk about this. Let's just let this go and let's focus on why we're here, and we are here to race cars, to enjoy or watch the racing take place, to enjoy that show, not to stir the pot, not to add to the controversy. There's enough of that already. I'm proud of what the NASCAR team guys are doing. I'm proud of their sticking together, and I think they're doing the right thing, and that's all I'm going to say about that. NASCAR is like family, and I'm proud, and I enjoy watching it, and I hope you do as well. Savannah's own Oglethorpe Speedway Park is set to welcome fans back on July 10th. We'll be doing a live show there. And by the way, my Cale Yarborough book is around here somewhere, and there's a great anecdote in the Cale Yarborough book about him coming to Savannah. Actually, a really good book. I enjoyed it. It's a kind of a ghost written biography. It's Mr. Joe McGinnis wrote it. The foreword's by Humpy Wheeler, the guy that runs Charlotte. But it's a great story. And Cale is from Timmonsville, South Carolina, where I used to fly medevac helicopters like over his house all the time without knowing it. So I'll get a little piece of this book out of here at some point.
Tell the story.
Tell the story, LB says. Okay, so a couple stories. So first of all, Cale was coming to Savannah to race at what we call today Oglethorpe Speedway Park. And back in the day, drivers weren't exactly made of money. You know, they got like half the purse or whatever. They shared it with the car owner. So Cale is, he's a farmer up there. He tried his hand at all kinds of different farming things. One time he had thousands of turkeys die on him because they wouldn't get accepted at the plant. So he had to bury like 10,000 turkeys in his backyard. So he gets down on his money, but he knows he can race. He knows he can win. So he gets his last $10, and he tells his wife, honey, get in the car. We're going to Savannah. We're going to go win a race tonight. So they're driving down here, and he's going 49 miles an hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. He gets pulled over by a cop, and the cop says, it's going to be $10 or you're going to jail with me right now. So Cale pulls out this last $10 bill that he's got. Now his wife is sitting over there crying, like she is crying. So he says, honey, it's okay. Hey, do me a favor, hop over the seat and feel your hands around between the cushion and the back of the back seat. See if anybody's dropped any silver change back there. So imagine this woman's digging in the seat looking for quarters. Now as a kid, I did that, but as an adult, not so much. So she digs up like 37 cents. The bridge over the Savannah River in those days was a toll bridge. So they come up to the toll bridge, and the toll operator's there, and he goes, well, that'll be 50 cents, the toll. And Cale Yarborough says, I'm a few pennies short. Can you spot me? And the guy at the toll booth says, yep, it's 50 cents. You give me what you got, and you can get me later for the rest of it. And he goes to the race, and he's doing great in the race, and the motor blows up. Now, while he was out there racing, his wife is sitting with all these other wives, and they're all saying, honey, let's go get a hot dog and a Coca-Cola. And this woman says, oh, I'm full. You know, I've already had dinner. I don't care for anything. Y'all go ahead. And inside, this woman is crying because she didn't have any money at all, and she was too embarrassed to ask for help. So he crashes the car, and now he is crushed. Like he is really screwed, blued, and tattooed. And another guy on the track says, listen, man, I've been down on my luck just the way you're down on your luck. Here's $20. So he gives him 20 bucks. So Cale goes back, walks back over to his wife, says, baby, let's go get a hot dog and a Coca-Cola. And she starts crying, and she says, how can you say that to me? You know that I'm hungry, and you know that I'm upset. He goes, no, I got $20. Come on, let's go. So they go get something to eat. They get some sodas, and they're driving back up into South Carolina, and they come to that bridge again. They pull up on the northbound lane. They go to that toll booth. And he says, hey, I need to pay the 50-cent toll. And by the way, would you take this extra money and would you carry it to that man on the other side? Because he spotted me 13 cents tonight. And they did. And the guy looked over and waved. And Cale Yarborough was that dude's friend for years after that. That is a great Cale Yarborough story right there. When you hear about a NASCAR driver today making $1 million at a pop, it weren't always that way. Cale Yarborough pulled himself up by his bootstraps to become very successful. All right, let's talk about Talladega. So Lawrence has got some notes and I got some notes. Big, I really wish you were here because you'd be the expert. So first of all, if you didn't watch the race last Sunday, all is not lost because NASCAR is really doing a good job with posting all these races up on YouTube. They do the full race. They do like a happy hour, the race in 55, 56 minutes, and then they do a highlight reel where they do it in about 12 or 13 minutes. You can go watch the whole thing. I actually watched the whole race. It was the first time, maybe the second time in my life I watched an entire NASCAR race without any beer on board, and it was good the whole time, and then the ending was just dramatic. The ending was wonderful. So the race was the tale of the twos. The two car of Brad Keselowski. Lawrence, keep me straight. The 22 car of Joey Logano. The 12 car of Ryan Blaney, who ended up winning the race. And just for extra measure, the 21 car, which is actually 21 is the historic Wood Brothers number. The 21 car with Matt DiBenedetto. Yep. And those guys, and I thought they might do this because these guys are racing with air restrictor plate or a spacer that restricts the air. So those engines were cut down to 550 horsepower, and the cars had additional downforce kits on them. They were trying to get them less than 200 miles an hour. So the way to win the race was going to be to work with people. And so it turns out all those 4 cars are Fords. Now, LB pointed out something to me tonight, that the manufacturers had a sit-down, come to Jesus meeting earlier in the year, and they said, if you're driving a Ford, don't you push a Chevrolet across to win. Don't you dare do that. So there's team loyalty, and there's teams working together, and there was also manufacturers working together. And that 21 car is getting support from Penske. All those cars were 12 and 22 are Penske cars, and the 21 Wood Brothers gets engines off of Penske, is what I've been told. Brandon, I'm channeling you here, buddy. So Penske Racing really did a great job. They stole the show. The weather, and as you watch more of these races and you try to put yourself in the position of the driver or the crew chief or the spotter, the weather was a real nut cruncher in this race because weather threatened. So if they could get halfway through the race, they get halfway through and they stop for weather, NASCAR could declare a winner. And it was the second day. They had already washed out on Sunday. So all the crew chiefs, you can tell that what they're doing is they're building their whole strategy on pit stops, fuel, tires, everything on, we just want to get to the halfway mark. Well, they get to the halfway mark and the weather's good, so now what? Now we got a plan to go to the whole race. But the other thing is, we've also got a plan for the race to end every lap. So it was like sudden death. If they call the race, and if it rains on one end of the track, and Talladega is so big that it can rain over one end and be dry on the other, it's like almost in 2 counties. If they call that race, the guy who happens to be in the front right then, he's the winner after the halfway mark. So I can imagine that the crew chief sitting up on that pit box is probably taking antacid pills because their gut was probably churning. Really good stuff. It was a lot of fun to watch, and the ending was spectacular. So I'm still going off my notes. Ricky, we call it Ricky Wreckhouse, Ricky Stenhouse. If you watch the race before or in the future, you're going to hear the announcers continue to talk about Ricky Stenhouse, how he was able to just go anywhere he wanted with his car. And it was fun to watch. And he would get in the back of the pack and he would muscle his way to the front. And if he wanted to go to a certain spot between 2 cars, he would make a hole for himself. So that was kind of cool. Maybe that's why LB and Big call him Ricky Wreckhouse. There was lots of partnerships, and the hood flap. So they have these hood flaps that are designed to lay flat when they're going forward, and as soon as they turn sideways or go backwards, they pop up and they're like aerodynamic spoilers. They want to keep that car from taking flight. By the way, there was a vice president who said that their intention was to get the speed of these cars down below 200 miles an hour. It didn't work, Mr. Vice President, because there was like 18 knots of wind blowing across that track. So on one side, you got a freaking hellacious tailwind, and on the other side, you got a headwind over here and a tailwind over here, and it was in that downwind dash that they were going over 200 miles an hour. 203 miles an hour in a car. I flew a Chinook helicopter with a VNE of 175 knots. Those cars were going faster than my Chinook. Crazy. Or about the same speed as my Chinook. The Blaney Boogie with 7 to go, and we've been talking about Blaney. LB's been talking about Blaney. Big's been talking about Blaney. This was his time, and Lawrence has got some notes. I'm going to jump right into that. And by the way, I watched an ARCA race today, and I noticed that there's less cameras for ARCA, and that makes sense because ARCA is a smaller budget. So on this ARCA race, it was a rerun from last weekend. There's one camera that's following the cars as they go. When the big Fox goes and does a cup race, they have multiple cameras, multiple camera angles, great sound, and it is just freaking spectacular. I mean, I'm watching this, I got my back porch on a big screen TV, turn that volume up. Holy crow, it's beautiful. And when you see them from far away, they don't look like they're going that fast. And then they switch cameras and they're coming around a corner and they're coming at you. By God, when they get in front of you, they are going really fast. And it is really fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. The apparent speed. If you want to do something cool, turn the volume down and turn on Beethoven's Fifth. It's absolutely spectacular. It is wonderful. I'm a retired medevac helicopter pilot. You may not have picked this up, but the Alabama Lifesaver helicopter was on the track on the helipad, because whenever the cars are running, there's a medevac copter there. I know that some of those people over there in that program. I've flown for it. Used to be Caraway Lifesaver, and you may remember that Davey Allison crashed at that track, and he indeed got flown on a Caraway Lifesaver helicopter. That helicopter was there for this race, and I just say kudos to the crew that stood standby on that race, and I'm glad you guys were there, and I'm thinking about you. So Chase Elliott got crashed out, and I got to say, he was a total gentleman the way he handled that. When he was interviewed coming out of the infield care center, he didn't say anything about anybody bumping him. He didn't blame anybody. He didn't try to put anything on anybody else. He just said, you know, I got to do better next time. So you can tell how that boy was raised. He was raised by Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, who was voted the most popular driver several years. And you can tell that those lessons went from dad to son. By the way, if you hear a bunch of noise in the background, it's because this is Coach's Corner. This is a going concern here. And we are, as I said, having a couple of really big parties here. We're super glad these people are here. A lot of them are looking over, trying to figure out what this fat, crazy guy is doing up here. So we're glad they're here, and we'd love it if you'd come down and join us sometime too. If you are interested in NASCAR and you want to come up here and tell a NASCAR story, that invitation is from me to you. Come on. Come on down. Yeah. So today, like I said, I watched this ARCA race from last week. So ARCA is the 4th tier. So Cup cars top tier, and then Xfinity 2nd tier down, the trucks 3rd tier down, and then there's this ARCA, which was a separate sanctioning body, and NASCAR bought them. So now they're part of the NASCAR family. These dudes, I was watching this race today. It was a 200-mile race. It lasted about an hour without any commercials. And they're going 185 miles an hour, and these are 19-year-old kids. 19 years old going 185 miles an hour. And I saw some of the best driving today that I've ever seen on any racetrack ever in my life. This dude, Mike Self, is in a car, and now we're coming around the last couple of corners, and now it's going to be boogie-woogie for the finish line. And he gets sideways, teed up in front of another guy, going sideways, 185 miles an hour, gets control of that car, straightens it back out, and finishes that race. Holy crap! I mean, I'm screaming. God, that was a great race. Great performance. So kudos to those ARCA guys. And Mr. Self, young man, I bet you your parents are proud of you. Holy crow. Yeah. So right now is when I say big. Lawrence, are you having fun yet? That was great. So the weather. Like I said, the weather made last race, Monday race. There was 3 and 4 wide race, 19 different leaders, 56 lead changes, and a fantastic finish. If you don't have time to watch all race, like I said, NASCAR puts like a 12 to 15 minute highlights video, and you can see that end when Ryan Blaney won. Ford had won 9 of the last 10 races. There was not, by the way, a big one. The big one is these Talladega pileups when people go flying and cars crash everywhere. They didn't have that. So that probably saved $1 million in not having, and I'm getting the higher, millions of dollars. So that was good. And you know what? We didn't need a big wreck. We had some slide jobs. The good, the bad, and the ugly Talladega edition. What a race. What a race, and what a frantic overtime finish. Guys were running out of gas, by the way. That's another thing to make you just want to throw up. Like, do I come in for gas or do I stay out? And I think Blaney went in the last couple times for pits, and that cost him the race. And this time he said, heck with it, I'm staying out. He stayed out and he won. So excellent job, young Ryan Blaney. So that was good. The bad was the number 9 car. Chase hit the wall. He finished 39th. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The ugly. Some NASCAR fans paid a plane to fly a banner, and the banner was out of protest, and that's all I'm going to say about it. You know, this is America. We have free speech here. People can protest if they want. But I will say, as a retired soldier, that the only flag that matters to me is the American flag. So that's all I'll say about that. Checkered flag for charity. Ryan Blaney in the 12 car wins. Talladega. So that's another 12 bucks to the Ronald McDonald House. Our total so far this year is $675. And we've got to put some money in there. That's 12 bucks. 5, 10, 11, 12 for Ronald McDonald. We're up to $675. Please stop by and donate in person or online. Mention our show and help us keep this great local charity in business. Ronald McDonald House takes care of the parents that are worried about their children at Memorial Hospital. And it doesn't matter if it's pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dollars. It all helps. Brandon, that's my best effort at that. Come on, dude! Matt Kenseth finished dead last. You know, Matt was like the replacement guy, came back out of retirement. And his performance, I mean, sorry if you're a Kenseth fan, but his performance has not been stirring so far. He hasn't finished any better than 18th. We really had high hopes for him, and we hope he gets this turned around in that 42 car. Come on, Matt. Cheers segment. Cheers to the number 10 car of Eric Amarola for finishing third while sliding backwards. Yeah, he went backwards across the finish line, still came in third place. Another cheers to the driver of the Air Titan dryer that slid down the high bank at Talladega on Sunday, drying it off. The guy saved that air dryer, put that guy in a cup car. Cheers! And here we go. Big, do you miss us? We miss you. All right, let's look ahead to this weekend's racing action with a doubleheader at Pocono Raceway. This is a NASCAR first. Never happened before. It's never happened where they did a doubleheader, and here they are doing it.
Brandon live.
Brandon, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up?
Hold on, technology is our friend. We got Big. All right. All right. Big, what do you think of the race?
All right, man. So the first Pocono race, man, I got to go with Denny Hamlin. That's going to be my guy again.
Hamlin, Harvick. I'm repeating for you. Go ahead.
The 3 is going to be Joey Logano.
Hamlick, Harvick, Logano.
4 will be the 9 of
Chase Elliott.
Yeah, 5 will be the 12 of Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney is your 5th pick. All right.
Yeah, man. And then the first good race at Pocono, I'm going to take Ryan Newman as a little dark horse pick.
Ryan Newman for the dark horse. All right, Big Daddy, you having fun?
Oh, man, having a blast, dude. Missing y'all there, man. I hope everything's going good.
Everything's good. Drink a beer for me and come on back. Bye.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. I'll see you next week.
Okay, so we got Big's picks. So, thinking that I was probably going to be asked to do some picks, I did what anybody does with a phone. I went to Vegas Insider. And the guy on Vegas Insider, which is a website where you can see about gambling if you're into that, he said for Saturday, Elliott, Hamlin, Eric Jones, Kyle Busch, and Harvick. And then for Sunday, he picked Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, Hamlin, and Blaney. Yeah. So we got two cup races this weekend. One's at 3:30, one's at 4 o'clock. They'll both be on here at Coaches. And of course, I'm sure they're gonna have the lower tier races as well. Mailbag question. Just Kaylee wants to know if we will be getting merchandise and t-shirts made. Kaylee, yes we will, and we will get you a t-shirt. When Lawrence writes that, that's a promise. We got another mailbag question. When will composite bodies come to the Cup? So the composite bodies are made from fiberglass and Kevlar, I want to say. So it's basically like plastic. It's very sophisticated plastic, and it's not stamped out pieces of metal. And the first thing that I think about that is, I know they're coming because they started in ARCA. ARCA is a test bed, and now the composite bodies are in Xfinity. So the next logical step is those bodies will come to the Cup. And the one good thing about that is going to be it's cheaper to change a composite panel, than it is to change. A composite entire body is more expensive, but single panel is cheaper. And also, if you've watched the race, anytime a car touches the wall, the first thing that the announcer says is, that tire is cut down. So when they touch a wall, there goes the tire. Well, the composite cars don't seem to do that so much. So maybe we won't have these little stripes tearing up so many tires. Thanks, friends, for watching, being part of the show. If you miss Brandon being up here beside me, trust me, I miss him too. Please hit like and share and send us your questions. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. Well, this show is called Rubbin' and Grubbin'. The rubbin' is the racing and the grubbin' is the food. So what do we do tonight? Well, there's a big party. There's a big-ass party going on out back for the Maritime Association, and they are having Coach's Corners. Absolutely spectacular, delicious, wonderful low country boil. And we do this. We do this for 5 people or 500 people. And this lovely model is my lovely wife, Jeannie Folds, certified flight registered nurse, former Lifestar flight nurse. And Jeannie is bringing the food out tonight. This is low country boil. It is wonderful. It is spectacular. Thank you, baby. Thank you very much. This doesn't just look good. I'm gonna tell you, this is good. Oh yeah, that's good.
You like a wiener?
No wiener jokes. No wiener jokes. All right. That is really good. John, you guys did a great job. Last lap recap of the show. Next Wednesday, Big is back. Brandon Bain. Jesus, Lawrence, I'm sweating like you do. We'll have a huge double show next week. Next Wednesday, we'll break down all the action with this busy, huge weekend coming up at Pocono, Pennsylvania, where I used to fly medevac. Once again, I want to thank ESPN Savannah Hilton Head, 104.3 FM, 1400 AM, for tuning into Facebook Live. Be sure to tune into the Green White Checker this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. PJ, Brandon, and I will break down the weekend NASCAR. PJ, I'm looking forward to talking to you this weekend. We would also like to thank the other show on the Coach's Corner Sports Network, the Carl DeMasi Sports Report with Coach Carl DeMasi and the AD Chad Griffin, broadcast live here every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. live on Facebook. Tune in. Coach DeMasi and Coach Griffin are coming on live tonight on the Sports Network for their Wednesday night sports update. Hello, Coach. Hello, AD. Thanks to the fans. Thanks to Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. Hit like, share. We'll see you next week. I'm Dan Folds. Stay safe and wash your hands.
I loved you before, but this is
What we lack in talent, we make up for with enthusiasm. Good. Not right now. Oh man. Good stuff.
You're rushing a little bit. Awesome.
I was sprinting. I was in a race to the finish. Man.